Okay, in this video, we are going to work on the Tic Tac Toe game and continue off and do some refining. So let's go back to where we were at. So previously, we had made it so when we run the program, we can place X or we can place an O on the button. And whoever's turn it is going to swap. So player X's turn is going to become true or false, so we know who's playing. And the last thing we're going to do is check for a win. When we go to check for a win, we used if statements and we used the and condition so that we had to have not only two buttons the same, but all three buttons the same. So 1 and 2 had to be the same, and 2 and 3 had to be the same. As well, so again, we use another and, so this also has to be true, that the sameness is not space, not an empty space. It has to be something. And if we did that, I decided to change something called the background. And to do that, I told it to configure the background color to yellow. And then I think I steered you a little wrong. I put another if, I think, in my video. It should actually be an elif, because if that's not true, I want it to check the next row. There's going to be 3 horizontal rows. If I look in my game, you'll see there's 3 rows. So I want to check not only row 1, 2, and 3 to be the same, but is 4, 5, and 6 the same, or 7, 8, and 9. So these 3. So if there's 3 the same, I want it to highlight the color like so and make a win. A couple other things you're going to see that we need to do as well is when there is a win, we should probably disable all the buttons so someone can't carry on and say, oh, I won with O's as well. We should make it so all the buttons are disabled. So let's start to do that. How do we disable all the buttons? So let's make a function at the very top here, and I'm going to call it disable button. And just a side note, what this function is going to do is, what I'm going to do is if it's a win, so let me go here to the first one here, code for a win. What I want to do is I'm going to say not only are we going to color them yellow, so I'll color them yellow, but I also want to disable the buttons. So I'm going to say disable buttons. Actually, button. I called it button. And so be very careful. A lot of times we get caught on when you're making a variable. Some students will call it buttons. Some students might call it a button. So actually, maybe buttons is better because I'm disabling not just one button, but I'm going to disable all the buttons. So I'm going to call my function disable buttons. So how would I disable a button? Well, it's fairly straightforward. What I'm going to do, I'll just show you the first button, and I won't take your time to show you all of them. But basically, I would say button 1's state, so that's the button state, is equal to disabled. And it's all in caps. I'm not sure why, but that's just the way it is. And then I'm just going to copy and paste it, and I'm going to do the same thing for buttons 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 9. Okay, so I've got all the buttons disabled. So let me just run my program, and I'm going to see if I'm going to get a win here. So let's do a win just like we did last game. And so now the game's a winner, and oh, I can still, whoops. I put it in only, you'll notice it still let me play. It's because I only put it in button 1 winning, 1, 2, and 3. I hadn't done it for 4, 5, and 6. So I need to add this to each and every winning game over situation. So let me just run it again, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So here I'll run it again, and I put it now in in 4, 5, 6 looking for a match. And there you go. Everything's locked, and you'll see I click and nothing has happened. So we can't cheat, and O can't place right here and get a win as well. Okay, so that's disable buttons. Now, one of the things I'm going to probably want to do is make a function to enable the buttons, because later on I'm going to make a menu that is going to reset the game, and one of the things we're going to need to do is enable all the buttons. So I'll call it enable buttons. And then in this function, what we do is we go button 1, and I had to Google to find this, and it actually didn't come up as easy how to disable a button as I'd hoped for. And so you'd think it's enabled, and some people were saying enabled. It didn't work for me. I had to actually say button state is normal, which means it's clickable. So again, we're just going to copy that, and we will paste that 9 times. And that's going to be a function that we're going to need. We're also going to need a function to change the text as well. Oops, I don't need 10, only 9. And so I'll have to also have something that does that. But I'll show that in another video. The next thing I want to do is start working on a menu. So to work on a menu, I want to get a menu bar. So let's go back at the very top here in my definitions, and I'm going to create a menu bar. So let's call this menu bar, and it's going to equal a menu in the window. And notice it's a capital M for menu. So in Tkinter, there's something called menu. And what the menu will do is it will draw a menu in the menu bar. And so finally, one more thing we're going to need to do in this is in our program, and I'll put this at the very bottom of my program, is after I place all the buttons, I'm also going to config, so this also needs to be done, that the menu is equal to the menu bar, and then I'm going to say window main loop. So now I have a menu bar, except for I don't. So down here is where I made the buttons. Maybe this will be a good place. Right after, just on top of here, is where I'm going to define a menu. So let's start here and say I'm going to define a menu. Let's call this the game menu. How about game menu? So I'm going to have one where it says game, and it might be something like restart game, start with O, quit or exit, something like that. So let's do that. So to start with this, I need to define the menu. So I'm going to say game menu is going to equal menu, and I'm going to use the menu bar, and I'm not going to have a tear off. Okay, next thing I want to do is add some things under my game menu. So in game menu, so in that game menu list, I'm going to do add command, and what I want to add is something that is going to say, so the label is going to say reset game. So that's going to be the text that we're going to see, and then I need to give it a command. So let's say in reset game, my command is going to be enable buttons that I just made. So there you go, enable buttons. Oops, and remember we didn't pass any arguments, so we don't have to lambda the command. So I'm just going to have the command just be do the function enable buttons. Okay, and so I don't, this is the one special circumstance where we don't put anything. Okay, so I'm going to add a label called reset game. Let's add another label. So I'll just paste that, and the next label, I'm going to say, let's change the game to start with O, because sometimes you might want to start with O. So we can figure out how to do that. And what I might do, I haven't made the function yet to swap X and O starting point. Let's just say disable buttons to see if it actually, this menu works. But later on, of course, I would make a function called start with O, for example, that's going to swap player X's turn. Okay, next I want to add a separator. So this is something that's kind of nice to add. So in this, it's not add command, it's add separator. Hopefully I spelt it right. So that will add just like a blank line. And then finally, I wanted to do another one, which is going to be the quit. And in here, what I can do is I can actually, I just wanted to show you this. That's why I put the quit in here. Or let me write exit. So I think often we see file and exit, game and exit. Sure. So we want to quit the game. There's a built-in to the window. You could type in just quit. And so that's a command that's built in, and that will stop the program. So I just wanted to show you that. Okay, so now let me add this menu bar to my window. So if I want to add the menu bar I just created, just like the grid that we used with buttons below, what I want to do is I want to add it. So I'm going to say menu bar, add, cascade, and the label. So what I want to be displayed is I want it to say game. And the menu is going to be the game menu. So this is now going to add a menu bar to the game. So let's test it out and just see if this works. So I'm going to run the program. And you'll see now I've got a drop down. Here's my menu. So when I hover over game, it's going to go blue. And you'll see if I click on start with O, everything should be disabled. And so I can test that the disabled works. So you'll remember I said that I'm eventually going to make some separate code for starting with O, but right now I'm just disabling buttons. So now I'm going to say reset game, and reset game, you'll see it enabled me to play, and the game still works. I'm going to try the exit, and why didn't exit quit? So I don't know why it quit. I must have done something wrong there. So I will fix that somehow, but that will be in the next video. Okay, so a couple of things. I could work on making a function. So a couple other things we're going to want to do in here is I want to reset the game. So in the reset game menu, let's just go to my menu here. What I said was enable buttons. What I'm going to probably do is make a game reset. So let's think about all the things we need to do if we reset the game. So I'm going to make a, I'm going to change this to say reset game. So I want to reset the game. And so let's come back up and make a function for reset game. So I'll do it right here. And I'll make a function here, reset game. And what are some of the things I want to do? Well, one of the things I'm going to do when I reset the game is I'm going to enable the buttons. So I'm going to make a call in this function. So when I reset game, I'm going to enable buttons. Great. And then what I want to do is I want to make the background color. I'm going to have to make the background color back to gray. So I will need to, what I'll probably do is make another function here. reset background color. And for now, I'll just pass. So when I reset the game, I want to reset the background color. So that's going to be on my to-do list. And so I'll write here to do. I'll make a little comment. Finish this function. And one of the other things I'm going to need to do, so I'll make another to-do here, is reset the text. Because when we reset a game, we also want to reset the text. So let's create that. Reset text. And got that function. And for now, I'll just pass and I'll do that afterwards. So I've got reset. So reset the game. We're going to reset the background color, reset the text. And the last thing is reset the variables. And remember up here we had all these global variables. So that's quite easy to do. Reset variables or globals. Because we'll need to do that. So we can, we need to go global, player X's turn, and game over, and number of turns. So we're going to declare those are global variables, and then I'm just going to go use them. So player X's turn is true, just like it was in the beginning. Oops. The game over is false, just like it was in the beginning. And the number of turns is 0. So again, in my function to redo the game, I'm going to enable buttons, reset background color, reset text, and reset, I can't even remember what I called it, globals. There you go. So now my reset game is set, and I can go in here and I can take a look at my menu. My menu, when I click on reset, is going to reset the game. Okay, let me show you how to add another menu bar to the window. So in the next menu bar, I'm going to call it AI. And what we're going to do is let's define a second menu, and let's call it AI. So this is where I'm going to put the AI things that we're going to eventually build. So I just wanted to show you this. Again, I'm not going to have you build this today, but the AI menu, we're going to use the menu and the menu bar and the tear off, just like we did up here, is 0. There you go. So there's the AI menu. And then I'm going to say AI menu, just like I did with the other, add command. And I'm going to say the label is going to be simple AI, or AI easy. I don't know, simple AI maybe sounds good. And the command is going to be, and right now I'll go back to disable buttons because I haven't made anything for this. So I'm just preparing this, and I'm going to do the same thing for the hard AI. I'm just getting this ready. So we've got a simple AI. I should really do a medium and a hard, who knows. But the command will do just like it did. And then finally, I want to add, just like I added the menu bar to the window. So what we do here, just like we did here, let's add it by going menu bar, add cascade. This is going to be the AI menu. Call it AI game. And the menu is going to be called the I called it right up here, AI menu. So I need to call the menu AI menu. Super. So now that this menu bar has been added to the window, it should cascade and put the AI menu. So if I run this, hopefully everything's working. Why did I put a colon there? That was dumb. So I possibly made some mistakes, but hopefully I didn't. So far looks good. I've got a game menu. If I go reset game, those functions all go, so it should be ready to play. And I now have an AI game, so I can put a simpler hard AI as a possibility. Great, so keep going, make sure everything is perfect. It looks like I'm gonna have to do one more video to show you how to clear the text and clear the backgrounds, because I need to do that next. But this video got pretty long. And then the last thing I wanna do is start talking about maybe the AI and where we're gonna go with that. So lots we can do.